Welcome to the Art of Quantum Healing, where we speak about trauma, mental health and healing. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and I'm thrilled to have you come into my energetic field. In this podcast, I will be sharing my own personal experiences to guide, teach, and help pave the way. We'll also be welcoming so many other divine souls who have overcome trauma and found happiness, health, wealth, and next level abundance through mind, body, and soul connection. My mission is to help women high vibe and thrive with inner peace, passion, and purpose.
Welcome to the Art of Quantum Healing. Today I have another beautiful guest all the way from South Africa. I'm going to read you a little bit about Aneesa. In the word Aneesa, in Aneesa's world, oh my goodness, I'm so dyslexic sometimes. In Aneesa's world, we choose to be a victim of our environment or allow it to shape our life's direction. Her personal philosophy is embodied in the statement. It values her and remains a goal point to become better than which she was born into, a valuable contributor to society. She holds a strong vision to contribute to the wealth of the economy and indeed in the lives of individuals, creating value in organizations and people's lives. She is passionate in paying it forward by influencing and guiding positively with optimism, love, and compassion, and to live authentically with acceptance, courage, and contentment. Please welcome Aneesa.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so beautiful.
My tongue tied. I was always saying before we got on it, I'm like, flow bass is the way I go, I tell you. So how are you, gorgeous? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so beautiful to have you here.
I am brilliantly blessed and blissful. I mean, what isn't there to be blessed about in a day, right?
I know, right? Your day is starting. My day's coming to a closure, which is always really interesting when you connect this. It's like, well, what time is it? What is it? 8 o'clock in the morning for you, and it's 4 o'clock for me. It's like, beautiful. So I would love to share with the audience who's listening a little bit about you so they can help to understand, the path that you have been going and still traveling on and where you are now. So would you be able to share that with them, darling?
Yes, absolutely. So I started off with what I refer to as being born a thin. And born a thin is being born from the realm of prostitution. Now, many years, I would not want to share that many years ago. It was like, oh God, I'm in shame, pain, guilt, lack of identity of who I am. So my journey actually is about being wounded, and it's a wounded journey from survival to self-love and ultimately self-leadership, because when we don't love ourselves because of lack of who we are and our identity, it takes self-leadership to bring yourself back home. Not easy journey, and there's no destination with that journey.
No, there's no manual.
No, there is no manual for that journey. So, it was being born in that realm, living with guardian parents, not knowing my mom because she was young herself and a victim of her circumstances, actually.
Totally.
So I have the utmost compassion for my mom today, who I have a wonderful relationship with, because I now understand her journey that she had to make through to be the woman that she was from a broken home, not knowing her mom and dad and being in the realm of prostitution. Yeah. So
it's a hard journey.
It was a very hard journey for her. And I've had to play her mom role over the years. So the roles were reversed over the years. So I joke and I use the Bronx of New York, if you're familiar with New York and the Bronx.
Yep.
Now, let's just say I was born in the Bronx of Cape Town.
Right.
It was rife with prostitution, drugs, gangs, everything that you can think of in that realm. That was the starting point of my life. And hence that statement of we choose to be a victim of our circumstances or our environment, or we allow it to shape the direction our life takes on. That led me to the journey of, at the tender age of 15, to start living on my own.
Oh, at 15.
My son's 14. Yes, yes.
Could you imagine when you look at him in a year's time, him actually going out on his own?
No,
I couldn't
no.
imagine, right?
I mean,
It's like, so that means you've broken the
bizarre.
cycles, generational cycles. So well fucking done. Right there. And your mum
That was
would
the
have
first
always
of
been
it.
in survival, and so would have you. So whew, hard stuff.
Very, very hard.
Mm.
Again, I think that even the environment for the first 15 years of my life where I grew up, I was with guardian parents, and I was with 10 other siblings in the house. So it was survival for the fittest because I'm the outsider.
Oh,
So
that's
there
like
were
foster
times.
care, is it? Is that like foster care? We call over here.
Yeah, it would be what you call
Wow,
foster care.
okay, yeah, that's tough.
And
Yep.
since a baby, I mean, my foster mom took me in as early as a few months old, like 2 months old, because she was also the lady. Unfortunately, I didn't know that in the early years, but I found it out later. She was the one holding house, so to speak, for all the prostitutes that were
Oh, she was the
frequenting.
madam.
She was the madam, unfortunately.
Goosebumps. Wow.
She was the madam.
Were you the only one
And
that she took in?
she had another boy, but he eventually left and went to live with his family. But I was there as the taken on daughter, so to speak. And it was an interesting world, because whilst prostitution was on the one hand, drugs was on the other.
Yeah.
I mean, the two worlds collide. I mean, instantly they're one world.
Mm.
But the difference with this world is the drugs was also sold by one of the lady's daughters that lived there with her husband. And it was a crazy journey, because as I grew up, we were like 8 or 9, and they would use us as kids and say, well, you need to carry these drugs across the way, just to this next house and that house.
You were drug mules as well.
Oh, we were drug mules as well.
And that's the thing. How do you get out? Yeah, well, keep going. I've got so many questions already running in my head. Go. So at the moment, you're really being born into circumstance, and it's absolute survival and doing whatever. And you want to belong, so of course you're going to do it. You're like, our primary fear is not belonging, so you're not going to say no. Oh, yeah.
Whew. You hit the nail on the head there about belonging, and we'll get into that, because for me, it's like, times were hard, and if you could make an extra buck and you're 9, 10 years old and they're going to give you money, you're going to do it, because, you're living below the breadline. It's like, yes. Yeah. And then, I was also starting, I always use this joke about starting my career or my sales career as early as 9, not with the drugs, but I would go door to door selling stuff. Oh, whatever I could sell, I would sell. And I remember this one school friend of mine in middle school. She told me recently about the story, which I forgot, Lisa. I forgot. She said, Aneesa, you came knocking on the door one rainy night. It was dark, and you were selling socks. And
are yours?
I was selling socks, and the mom said, hey, come inside. It's raining. You don't have a raincoat. You don't have an umbrella. It's cold. You haven't even got a warm clothing on. Have you eaten something? I mean, her daughter was already dressed and ready for school for the next day. And here am I selling her socks.
You're going out to sell socks. So you could see where your mind was. Survival, need to food.
Survival.
Yep.
Yes. Well, she fed me, and she made sure that I was well covered to get home. And I suppressed that memory. I couldn't recall it. I mean, if I tell you, just short of 2 months ago, this friend reminded me about this, because she knows I'm going public with my story. She knows I'm in the process of writing a book. And she was like, Aneesa, you have come leaps and bounds with your journey.
Do you think you suppressed that because somebody was actually nice to you and you didn't think you were worthy of that sort of gift at that stage, because you were living in a lot of shame and guilt, and that was the thing that you needed to hold on to survive?
So let me understand. So you're asking if her mom being nice to me, I kept onto that memory.
No, you released.
I erased it.
Yeah, you erased it.
Well, I erased a lot of memories, Lisa, because I became somebody who was, that statement of not being a victim, whilst it held me in good stead, the negative side of that was Aneesa was always finding solutions. She was not focused on what was wrong. She was always looking at, how do we make it better? What's the next way? So what happened was, I wouldn't feel through the wounds or the pain.
Right.
And so that's where stuff would become stressed. Yes. So
Fun.
yeah, loads of fun.
And the lessons keep coming. I mean, you're not.
Yeah, I was sticking out like a sore thumb at school because I was in an environment that was, the race was predominantly, I don't know in your country what they would call it, but it would be of color or black. Right. And I am very fair of complexion because part of my nationality is Greek. I have some Greek blood in me.
Oh, wow,
that's the only
thing. But when you're going to school, it's not. When you're the odd one out, it's not.
No, so I was like the odd one out. This fair of complexion girl in this environment. So I became quite recluse, and I would be on my own and just escape into my own world. Yeah. And books became that for me, actually. That's why I call myself a coaching alchemist today, because that book was one of the books that sort of made me believe that there was more to life. There was more potential. There was limitless potential than where I was, right?
I love that book. It's a real awakening, isn't it? It's like, holy shit. It just, your mind just goes, wow, there's so much more.
But you know what I've noticed when I read it when I was younger is very different.
Very different.
When the lessons have been learned and you read it again now, it's like, whoa, okay.
It's one of those ones you can actually read more. You can actually read like it and then read it again, and then a year later, because you've got, and when you start on your journey, your evolution starts a little bit slow, and then all of a sudden it goes.
Tell me about it. It's just, it means something different because you've transmuted pain.
Yeah.
And you've transcended, so the dark side, you've actually, well, I certainly can say that I embrace the darkness.
I love it.
If it was not for the darkness, I would have not have evolved into the light, right?
Yeah.
And there's purpose through our pain, even though we don't see it at that moment in time, but there's so much purpose that we become who we are because of the pain, not because of the light.
Yep, totally. Then tell us about the rest of your journey.
Okay, so let's go to when I moved out. I was 15, 16, well, close to being 16. Then I lived with friends, and it was my final school year. And I was like, okay, I can do this. But then I did not pass the final school year, grade 12. And I was like, you know what? I'm already working. I have been working for a while after school, weekends. I can sustain myself. So let's do this thing. And I can always find a way back to learning. I was always passionate about learning, but this also catapulted me into feeling like a failure. Like, okay.
Oh, good old ego.
I failed. Ego. And I was also labeled by my peers and the people that I grew up that you're going to become just like your mom. So I did whatever I can not to become my mom. Yet I actually did become my mom in a lot of ways, but more of that later.
I did as well. It's amazing, isn't it? And I think when people put that constantly into your field, it's like, and when you haven't broken the cycles and you haven't healed, because you're just rinsing and repeating exactly what your parents are doing. Everybody is exactly the same until you heal. Exactly. To heal. And that's why I said about a generation cut. You've actually healed so much that your kids will not go through what you do. It's inevitable. I mean, I was one-on-one my mum.
Well, definitely. My therapist recently, she said to me, what's the difference between prostitution as what it is in the realm versus prostituting yourself in relationships? Not just with my husband, but with every relationship. And I'm not talking about the context of prostitution, but being selfless and doing everything for everyone, because that sense of belonging that you referred to earlier on is, you just want to fit, you want to belong, and you want love, you want acceptance, but you did it outside of yourself. So that journey of, when I went on my own, it was like, okay, but I don't want to live with friends anymore. I want to do this for myself. Then at 16, I finally did that. I had my own place, but I always loved learning. So a few years later, or fast forward, I should say, in 2005, so about 8 years later, I then did do my grade 12 through correspondence.
Oh, that's awesome. What made you go back and do that? You just had this hunger to just knowledge?
Knowledge. It was always, I knew I was a bright student. I was a curious learner. And I knew I needed to go back, but I didn't allow that to hold me back at the time. So I was, doing what I needed to do, working, growing in my work roles and career, regardless of not having the qualifications. I never let that hold me back.
Yeah.
In fact, I only formalized my school of life. I called it formalizing school of life at 40. I managed to get my postgrad degree only at 40, Lisa.
Wow.
And that wasn't even with an undergrad degree. We have something in South Africa which is referred to as recognition of prior learning. So they look at your portfolio of evidence around all the courses that you've done, your work experience, and then what about life experience, right? School of hard knocks.
That's the most important experience that you can have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's what the journey was. And then, Lisa, I had so many great milestones in terms of growing in my career, getting all these achievements in studying, got qualified as a coach in the neuroscience modality just before my daughter was born. That's about 11 years ago. But I was never happy.
Never quite like you were complete. There was something missing. Yeah.
I mean, I met my husband. Let's go there. I met my husband when I was 20. This guy showered me with love and affection, and I was like a queen on his throne. I was like, he carried me on a pedestal, and that's what I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, and we're jumping around, but I mean, it's part of how the story unfolded, right? Is I have now filed for divorce, not because I don't love him. I actually do love him, but I've had to start honoring myself and break another generational cycle, because the construct that he grew up in is showering with love and affection and attention. And the mother, his mom, is equally a matriarch, strong, running the family household. And that became my model and construct of my marriage. And why? Because I wanted to belong. I wanted to be part of a tribe. I wanted to do whatever I can to make my marriage strong, robust, and be this trophy wife, even if it meant taking on all these roles and being the primary breadwinner, which was never going to be sustainable indefinitely. But I knew a few years back already that, hey, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Do you think it was,
even though he loves me?
Do you think it was a sense of like you didn't know who you were, so you mold yourself into who that he wanted you to be just so you fit in? And we do that in so much within our lives. And we go to work and become that person. It's almost like we have little identities that we step into just so that we belong. And when you get to that moment that you got to, and you go, well, hang on a minute, none of this feels like me. None of this feels like my reality. This does not feel like the movie I'm living in. How did I create this? And you completely detach yourself from it. You realize that it's not you. And it doesn't matter how much you love the person. If you're not whole yourself, then you can't fully love, accept, and appreciate any of it.
No. So I agree. So, I mean, that journey started unfolding last year. I think you call it being laid off. We call it being retrenched from your company.
Yeah.
And I was celebrating the retrenchment, Lisa. I was like, yes, the gift of time. I can pause. I can have me time. I can find what it is that I want to do for me. And I hired a coach, and I said, look, I'm hiring you not for setting goals. I'm not interested. I've achieved a lot. I want to feel through the wounds of the past. That's the journey I want to go on.
Feel through the wounds of the past. To feel to heal. Feel to heal, baby. Which is the thing that we avoid the most.
It is. because that was me, right? Finding the solution.
Yeah.
Hey, don't be a victim. Come on
Yep.
now. You don't need to be a victim. What is the way out?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, coach, you are going to help me transcend and transmute this pain because I've suppressed it. And when I went on that journey, I realized that there's a difference between being selfless, which is on the one end of the spectrum, and there's another one of being selfish. And I can't be selfish because it's not who I am innately.
Yeah.
But then there's the middle ground of having self-respect.
That's a big one, and that's hard when you've always been in survival mode because you don't know what respect you want.
Yeah, I mean, I played the prostitute archetype, the hero, the savior, the martyr.
God,
so many roles. I've done it. I've written the script myself. You said it. So I needed to redirect and flip the script in some shape or form. So part of when I went on my own journey and living on my own, that was breaking one cycle. Then I decided to get married and I wanted my own tribe and I thought that was going to make me whole. Yeah. But it was built on the wrong foundation. And so that's now saying, okay, hold on, honor your love for yourself, because your kids need to see it's not about being selfless in every relationship to hold on. And I was heartbroken when I had to go forward with the divorce.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still love him. And we're doing what I refer to as Gwyneth Paltrow. I'll steal it from her. She says a conscious uncoupling. So
I love it. I love that. It's such because you don't have to have a breakup for it to all be like, wow. You know, it's nice to see it to hear you say that. And it's nice to witness that happening with you, because a lot of the times it just goes to a place that it shouldn't go to. So well done for that. It's awesome.
Thank you. I mean, when it unraveled at the start, it was overwhelming for him because
emotions
he's very much still in
he's
still in love with me, you know, and I love him and I honor him for the gifts in our marriage. And I now understand that what I expected from my husband and what he needed to fulfill for me was what I needed to fill my own cup and vessel with. Yeah. And that was coming home to myself and getting into into that heart space.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer in that ego space any longer, because it was, you're not doing this and you're not doing that blame, shame, resentment, projection. And now I'm out of that space. I feel so liberated. It's free. It's so freeing, you know.
It is. It's extremely freeing. It really is. Because I mean, you don't realize, and like, even when I was telling the story before about, you know, when we were like really deep in the matrix of living, and then we packed everything up and sold everything, and it's the same sort of thing. It's like we left a bad marriage. Well, you didn't have a bad marriage, but we left a bad marriage behind, and the baggage. It was like the baggage is gone. It's there, and it was just so freeing to have such a heart that was open with the excitement. And it's like whenever you release something, whenever you let something go, you make room for so much more to come in. And for you, you're making the room for the love of you, for the connecting of you, for the understanding of you, for the, wow, who am I? What can I do? What's my passion? What's my purpose? What are my needs? What are my wants? What boundaries do I need to set? Because you don't have any of that when you are just living it with somebody else and in their realm, and you become this person. You're like, okay, so I'm playing a part. And when you open yourself up to, what do I want? Oh my God, goosebumps. It's so exciting. It's like, what can I have next? Because you can have anything you fucking want. You can have anything you want.
I tell you.
And you're free. What a feeling.
And here's the thing. I mean, have you ever heard of Greg Braden?
No.
He speaks about the ancient, when we're done with this, I'll send you some information, but Greg Braden refers to the ancient mirrors of relationships.
Oh, mirrors.
And
yeah.
So I'm only going to talk about 3 today because I'm mindful of time. But the 3 that resonated deeply for me was, the one mirror is what we see in others, what we have in ourselves. So they're mirroring back to us our character, our attributes.
That's why we get triggered so much by people, because it's in us. Yeah. Get going. And
then there is the mirror of judgment. So what are we in judgment of? What are we judging in that person? So whether it was, what am I judging in my husband or my colleague or my manager or leader that I'm reporting to, because I'm not, it just doesn't sit well in the way that they operate.
Yeah.
And again, that's operating from an ego space, right? Because we're in judgment.
Yeah.
Then the last mirror is what makes me sob every time I think about it, because it's the mirror of what we give away of ourselves.
Ooh,
And
I haven't heard of that one. Yeah.
So think about it. There was recently, I was so magnetically drawn to a guy that I connected with. He's from Canada, and he became my mentor. But he became the roles that I was to everyone: the coach, the mentor, the cheerleader. And I was magnetically drawn to this relationship. And I feared it in a lot of ways, because like, whoa, hold on, you being what I am to everyone. But innately, deep down, I wanted that to be reciprocated for me in my closer relationships. And what that taught me when I discovered these mirrors of relationships was, we are giving away parts of ourselves, and those parts of ourselves are mirrored in what other people often give us, and we may not even know them.
Yeah.
But we're so magnetically drawn because those are the things that we have given away, and we just want some of those parts back again.
So we crave
it's
it back
powerful.
again.
It's powerful.
I haven't heard for that one. That's juicy. That's really juicy. I love the different perspectives that you can have on one thing, like just a simple mirror. And when you break things down, and this is why I always you gain so much more clarity. And that's why I say, like, when I'm in the moment and I'm feeling an emotion and I can feel it coming in, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. And in that moment, and it's the same as what you said, if you can stop and have a look, okay, for instance, what mirror am I sitting in right now, or what emotion or what things actually triggering me, or what's actually happening around me? Because the minute we blame an outside influence for how we're feeling, we're in victimhood. It's one-on-one victimhood, right?
Of course.
So when we can look within, and we can just go to those three different mirrors and go, okay, so you're judging them. So if you're judging them, you're actually judging yourself. I always say that you point one finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you.
Back.
So hello, what are you not seeing within yourself? So
it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. And you know what I had to learn, because I'm an analytical thinker, and I had to get out of thinking, because
relinquish the mind, baby. Oh, good luck.
I mean, I studied coaching in the neuroscience modality, so I was fascinated with the brain and how the brain works, right? And generally, in default, we in fight, flight, freeze, and the latest brain science is talking about being in fawn state. Now, by default, we protect ourselves. The brain is only doing what it should. Yeah. So when we're in our thoughts, our head's running away with us all of the time, right? The key is Eckhart Tolle. He speaks about being the observer of your thoughts and watching your thoughts.
Yep.
And honoring the thoughts. You can't say just get away. I mean, think about when you're meditating. You're meditating and stuff comes, but it's honoring it when it comes up and saying, okay, I see you. I hear you.
I acknowledge you. Yeah.
But that's okay.
You don't need to know what it's. A lot of the time, you don't actually. People think that when you get something, you're like, oh, I need to find out. I need to go really deep on it. I need to journal around. No, it just wants to be witnessed. Just like we want to be witnessed as humans. It's exactly the same. And emotion is it's part of us. It's this human experience that we went, okay, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to have a go at that human experience in the soul body. I don't know what it's like. And then we're down here going, what the fuck was I thinking? What is this human experience? What is this about? But if you don't feel it, then you're not in it. So
I mean, for me, I had to learn the art of being more in my heart space and letting my heart become coherent with my head.
Yeah, that would be hard for somebody who's because I'm a heart person. Like I always say that you've got two minds. You've got this mind and you've got this mind. And most people, especially when we're brought up our masculine energy, and we're brought up with go, 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 go. You've got to be working. You got to be looking for money, and you will sow this. I'm a survival. So we're constantly in this mind. And when we drop to this mind, or goosebumps, things just They 180. It's just, this is the mind we should be living from, not this one, because this one has the ego, it has the subconscious, with not just the conscious mind, it's got the subconscious that's ruling it, that's making you think different things, and here's the justification. And when you're sitting in here, it's the feeling, it's the heartbeat, it's the mother, and you would have had to have remothered yourself. That's what, when you were talking, I kept getting remothering yourself, you know, becoming your own mother, because you didn't have that. So you didn't have a role model, you didn't have any wisdom, you didn't have anything to look at to go, oh wow, that's what I'm supposed to be. You had survival, neurosystem going the whole time, you know, back and all sort of stuff. It's huge.
I think you triggered something for me, because we talk about the divine feminine and masculine. I was in my divine masculine for many years, and that's the role I've had to play.
And here,
so to become softer and to come home to Anessa and within, I've had to find the balance between the two.
I'm still trying to find a lot of my feminine. It's fucking hard when you've been in your masculine for so long, let's be honest. Good grief.
It's hard. It's
really
hard, because that's all we know.
Yeah.
But it's about understanding. I always use the analogy of the scale, ensuring that they both balance on equal ends, and honoring both parts, because there's duality in everything. So we can't say we don't want to be an ego. We'll be kidding ourselves. It's part of us.
Absolutely.
You know.
I love that.
And
Thank you for saying that. I love that. It's so true. A lot of people say, oh, ego. No, the ego was part of me. I learned from my ego. Okay, so what's my ego trying to teach me right now? Okay.
Yes.
I've gotten rid of my ego. I'm completely ego free. I could bullshit.
No. Sorry, that's bullshit. The ego is there to remind us, hey, when am I being triggered, and what is unhealed, and why am I still being triggered by this?
Love it.
And there's so much power in the ego if we just know how to work in harmony with it and not fight it.
Yeah. Yep, totally. And listen to it.
Yes, and listen
at the proper way, because that's another thing. Like, you know that when you're in your heart, you're not in your ear, because you're either in pleasure or pain, right? So I always say that when I'm in pleasure, I'm coming from a heart space. And when I'm in pain, I'm coming from a head space. That's how I navigate through myself from the things that I've been through. I'm like, okay, so I'm a little bit like I'm getting that, because my go-to emotion as well is frustration. So the minute I start getting that frustration vibe coming in, I'm like, okay, where are you out of alignment? What's going on? Let's have a little chatty. What's going on right now? And I actually, you know, you bring yourself back to center, and you understand, as you said before, which you said so beautifully, you feel it, you listen, and you just allow it. Instead of going into your masculine energy of action, let's get out of here, let's do something else. Or like me, coping mechanisms, drugs or alcohol used to be, you know, it's just, it's fascinating when you start to observe it. And I love what you just said. It was boom, boom, boom. Love it.
I mean, I'd love to, the books that I'm busy with, I mean, I don't have the definite title, but at the moment it is about a wounded journey from survival to self-love to self-leadership. We all want to be self-actualized. We all want to master self, right? Yeah. And that is why I'm so passionate about it in my own coaching business. And that's the focus, is that I want to passionately inspire individuals. I don't believe you're a leader just with your title. I believe we're all leaders in our own right.
Absolutely.
And I came up with the CRAFT method, which just these acronyms and stuff come to me just so randomly. And I focus on
you're intellectual.
Thank you. I try to just get into my creative side, and the intellectual side. Yes.
If you're writing, you're definitely in your feminine, because that's creative. So
So the CRAFT method for me is about connected relationships that amplifies our future transformation. Because if we don't have connected relationships with ourselves, or a connected relationship, how are we going to amplify our future transformation? We can't.
No.
Because if we disconnect it from ourselves, we cannot be connected with anyone else in the best way for that relationship to flourish.
Well, look at you and your husband, your ex-husband. Point in case right there. It's not,
and he's still in and out. I mean, we live in one home that's divided into two homes. Yes, we're busy selling the home at the moment, but we've learned to coexist and respect one another. It's so honoring the gifts That's it. It's honoring the gift.
Mm. And the lessons he's also taught you. I mean, he's helped you get to where you are now, so you could see it. And isn't it better to have someone hold the space for you that loves you rather than someone that abuses you like a narcissist, and you turn around and go, what the hell happened? So,
Exactly.
it's
blessed in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What a journey.
Yeah. It's been a journey. And there's no destination, right?
No. That's the
There's
thing.
No destination.
They're always like, well, when will I ever be healed? Never. There's so many generations and past lives and so many different things that we're here to experience and to learn from. And it's as I said before, it's the human experience. You're not sitting in your beautiful light body going, this is great. You're not experiencing it. Not too sure I signed up for this one. It's a bit crazy, but anyway.
I mean, yesterday I reflected. I actually wrote a post, and I'd like to share that, if I may, as a closing.
Yep, love you too. I was going to say, what's the one thing that's so beautiful? Perfect.
I felt that it was important for me to reflect on my life lessons learned thus far.
Yeah.
And for some bizarre reason, it started with A and ended with Z, the A to Z of it.
I get that.
And I'm going to read it, okay? I actually felt that authenticity is a superpower. Boundaries are non-negotiable. Compassion is vital for self and others. Dreams do come true, just believe. Ego, be mindful of it. Forgiveness is good for your soul. Gratitude makes each day a blessing. Humanity towards others is success. Inspire confidence to bring out the best. Joy is being in the present moment. Kindness is sharing what we have. Love is unconditional. Manifestation requires letting go. Nobility represents character. Opportunity means to pay it forward. Pain has a purpose.
Absolutely.
Quietness leads to clarity. Reflection affords insight. Surrender control or an outcome. Understanding means contentment. Valuable. V is for valuable. Be intentional in adding value. We is better than I or me.
I love that one. I love it. Yeah.
X doesn't matter. Have fun and don't take life so seriously.
I love that too. That's a great one.
I couldn't come up with something.
I wouldn't either. What the hell with X? I love it. Classy.
Here's the other classic. I forgot about Y. And I went and edited the post. I was like, why? Actually, I forgot to add, but don't stop saying yes to living your why. And the last one, which was Z, I thought it was pretty apt to say Zoom because we're on so many Zoom calls. I said, zoom into your world within and find the alchemy to transform your life.
Oh, that's a nice.
And that's it.
Boom. I love that. Some of them were just like, yes. I'm sure the audience is going, oh, that one, oh, that one, oh, that one, oh, that one. That's brilliant.
Thank you. I mean, I loved our chat. I think I could chat to you forever.
Well, maybe we'll have to have another one when I'm doing the season 2, which is the focus on certain things. That would be juicy. It
would be quite juicy.
Yes.
Quite juicy, to say the least. I look forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I have loved talking to you and hearing from you and conversing with you. It's just been magical. And thank you. This is also the first time you have fully shared your journey. So I just want to honor you and say thank you so much. I know there's lots of women out there that will just have light bulb moments and just a deeper understanding that they're not, number one, they're not alone. Number two, that we're all in this together. So well done.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
See everybody. Actually, no, this is the second to last one. We've got one more. This is the closure. No, we've got one more
okay.
before we finish. One more beyond myself. But this is the last one that we're doing for season 2 of interviews. So look out for how we're actually going to be moving and shifting in the future with season 2. So thank you so much, gorgeous, and sending you lots of love.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Make sure to check out all the show notes of today's episode on my website by clicking on the link in the description. Also, make sure to join my newsletter to receive a free guided meditation to help you feel grounded throughout your day. Finally, make sure to subscribe to my channel and help us grow the community by sharing it with your friends. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and this is the Art of Quantum Healing.